everyone, I'm Jackie and welcome to my review of The Program by Suzanne Young. Now before we get started, I'd just like to show you something real quick. I put up my posters. They look so cool. Alright, so if you're here and you don't know what this book is about, I'll tell you. So it deals with the characters Sloane and James, and they're in a relationship, and, well, they're the main characters. So first we hear about that suicide is the leading cause of death for teenagers in America. And so, you know, the government's freaking out, so they're like, we have to fix this. So they come up with a thing called The Program, and in school every day they ask you questions if you're feeling depressed, and if you are, they take you and they put you in this thing called The Program, and it basically wipes your mind. You forget all your friends, you forget any past relationship you had, you forget all of your past except for your family. And that is basically what it's about. It's a crazy book, but it is so good. And there's a second one, and that's the last one, and oh my gosh, I cannot wait to read that. Okay, so now that that part is over, let's get into actually talking about this book. It's gonna be filled with spoilers, so if you haven't read it, you probably want to leave the video. So, go. Bye. Okay, so when we first open the book, we meet the character of Sloane, and she's in school and she has one of these papers that tries to figure out what's going on in your head, and she's talking to her friend Kendra, and she's trying to hide that she's actually really upset, so she's lying on the questions. And what do you know, here come these guys called the handlers, and if you read the book, you know that the handlers are pretty freaky. They're like they're like hospital guys, and they just walk around just staring the kids down, following them. And then they come in her classroom and they take Kendra, and at the last minute Kendra yells Sloane's name, and so the handlers look up and they see Sloane, and they're like, oh, who are you? Why do you know Kendra? Oh, you know what, now we're gonna look at you. And so now they're just gonna keep following Sloane around and freaking her out, and she's not telling anyone. But then, you know, that happens later on, and then she gets a text from her boyfriend James, and now we meet James, and we see that they love each other so much, and they meet secretly under the bleachers. In the beginning, she says her relationship with him is not fake, is secret, but then as the book goes on, they're not very secret about it. Like, they are hugging and stuff, and kissing in the lunchroom, and out in public, and holding hands, and I'm just like, you just said that this was secret. This isn't secret. I don't see anything secret about this. Okay, then we meet a character named Miller, and they're like, that's like Sloane's kind of best friend, but she said she met him in last year. So, I don't know. It seems like she meets everyone the year before. And it also talks about someone named Lacey saying Lacey is back, and then she's like freaking out, and she tells Miller, and he's like, oh, I'm upset. And they figure out that Lacey and Miller dated, and Lacey was taken into the program, so she's now called a returner. And now she's back, and her and James and Miller, they're like, oh my god, how are we gonna deal with this? Like, do we go see Lacey, or what do we do? And then we figure out later on that Sloane's brother is dead because, well, we don't know how yet, but he killed himself. And it's really sad. It's like two of her friends are gone already. Her brother and her best friend, Lacey. Then they decide to go see Lacey at her new school called Sumter High. And I already know this is going to go well, because they said that they erase your memory. So how would she know her friends? I mean, you'd hope that you know your friends, but it's not gonna happen. And they go there, and she doesn't remember anyone, and it's pretty awkward and sad. And then they have to leave immediately because the handler is gonna call more handlers. They're like, what are you doing here? Oh, nothing, we're just And then they have to leave because they don't want to get flagged. They don't want to go to the program just because they want to say hi to their friend, because technically they're not supposed to say hi to her because it's, you know, ruining her treatment. And then soon after that, there's like 2 instances where Miller breaks into her bedroom and she freaks out, and then she calls the program, or someone calls the program, and he goes home, and I think his mom calls the program, and he's calling James and Sloane, like, hello, guess what, my mom just called the program, and they're like, they're freaking out because they don't want Miller to go to the program. But then Miller says that he took quick death, and they're never going to see him again. And they had just come back from camping, and they had all this fun, and all of a sudden everything is just ruined and terrible. Soon after that, James starts getting really upset, and Sloane's really upset about that too, because, well, first of all, they've got 3 friends gone already, and now James is getting all closed off, and Sloane's freaking out because all she has left is James. And then what do you know? James gets taken by the program, and that freaked me out reading that, because I was so upset. I was like, he's not going to remember her? How is this going to be a good ending? How is this book going to have a good ending? And then Sloane freaks out, and she yells at her parents, and her parents freak out from that, and she runs to the river where her brother jumped off of, and they would always go to the river because they loved the river. And then she jumps in the river and she can't swim, but then she breaks her arm and she goes back home, and her dad takes her to the hospital, and that's supposed to be going all well. But then she gets home a few days later from school, and guess who's there waiting for her? The handlers from the program. And it's actually a specific handler, the one that was watching her all the time. He has black hair, and we find out later that his name is Roger, and he's like smiling at her with his creepy little smile. And then she tries to get away, but she knows if she jumps out her window she'll break something, and then they tase her and they take her away to the program. So now we get to part 2 where she's in the program, and for the beginning days she's just like sitting by the window trying to be all leave me alone, and this random guy she doesn't know is playing cards behind her, and he's got a pretzel stick hanging out of his mouth, which I think is hilarious because my mom just bought pretzel sticks and I was eating them while I was reading this. Okay, so after she meets that guy, later on she has to go to her therapy with this doctor, Dr. Warren. And right when she goes in there, she's like, here, have a red pill, it'll relax you. So for some reason, Sloane thinks it's a good idea to take the red pill. So she takes it, and at the end of the session, you know, she's starting to feel like, oh, why can't I tell this doctor a lot of things? Oh, whatever, you know, it's fine. And at the end of the session, she's like, here, take a yellow pill, it'll make the relaxing feeling keep on. And she's like, sure, I'll take a yellow pill. From my point of view, this is so stupid, because why would you just take, you know, we're in the program, yeah, give me all the pills. No actual person would just take all the pills. And then when she, after that, she finally talks to this new guy with crazy, messed up black hair, and that with the pretzel, and then he tells her his name is Realm, but he says, my name's Mike Realm, but you call me Realm. And then she's like, can I call you Mike? And he's like, no. So then when she says her name, she says, my name's Sloane Barstow. And he's like, can I call you Barstow? And she's like, nope, just call me Sloane. But then they kind of become friends, and she calls him Realm from now on, and they play cards, and this girl named Tabitha comes by, and she asks, why can't I play cards? And he just says no. And then he tells Sloane that because she took quick death but she lived, and it kind of messed up her brain cells a bit. And then that comes into play at the very end of the book, and we'll talk about that a little later. So I actually thought this part might have been boring because she's just in the program and walking around and stuff, but it's not boring. She actually meets the guy named Roger, the handler, the really creepy one, and he says, he tells her that the red pill she takes isolates the memories, and the yellow pills erases them, so they're gone. And then also the red pills kind of act as a truth serum. And so I was like, holy crap, you can't take the pills anymore, but she doesn't have the option, or else they're gonna inject her with the same stuff that's in the pills. So it's like you can't get away from it. But when she was talking to Roger, he said they can make a trade. He would give her a purple pill, and the purple pill is supposed to let you keep one memory per purple pill. And I was like, oh, this is perfect, just take a bunch of the pills. But he told her that he'd have to trade for a kiss. So she had to kiss him, and he'd give her the pill. But then it was getting really creepy, and he touched her butt, and she like freaked out. And then he's like, next time you have to show some skin. And I was like, no, you can't just have the pill. You can't have the pill. But then she takes the pill, and when she's thinking about it, she remembers herself putting a picture of James and her brother Brady and the special ring that James gave her in her mattress, like in her mattress. and then she just remembers that one thing, and she said she has like all this pain while she's taking the pill, and that was freaky because I thought that she was gonna die, but then also she can't die because it's the middle of the book. And a little while later, she is trying to find Realm, and she's looking around, and she's told that he's in therapy. So she's like, oh, okay, I'll wait for him in therapy. So she's waiting by the door, and she hears voices. She hears him talking to Dr. Realm. And what she hears, she's hearing him talk to her about working. And then she figures out he is in this. Like, he's with the program. And I felt so betrayed for her. She's being betrayed. He's pretending to be her friend so she could tell him things, so he could tell the doctor. I was so completely angry at this part, and I can't remember if it was before this part or after, when she was talking about James and crying, and the doctor said, I'm sorry, Sloane, and then she said, for what? And then she's like, say goodbye, and then she just said, goodbye to who? Right after she gives her a black pill. First of all, when Sloane takes the black pill, for some reason in her head, she thinks that everything's going to be fine. Like, she thinks if someone gives her a pill that she hasn't taken, that everything's going to be okay. That apparently a black pill in her mind means that it's good. But it's not. She gives a black pill and then she says, say goodbye, Sloane. And Sloane's like, goodbye to who? And the doctor says, James. And I completely freaked out. I was reading this at like 3:30 in the morning, this part. And like tears. And oh my God. And then she gets the pill up, like she tries to throw it up. And then the doctor calls in that nurse lady, and then she just injects her with the same stuff that's in the black pill. And then she passes out. So when she wakes up, she's tied to her bed, and Roger is there. And he's telling her, you know, you love someone once, and she's like, I love someone, and that was the worst part. Like, she completely forgot about James. And then I think that's the part when she goes to see Realm, and then she finds out that he's lying to her, and then Realm comes to talk to her, and he's like, hey, it's okay, and he's trying to explain to her that he really is her friend, and then she's not having it. Like, I was like freaking out too. I don't think I was freaking out as much as her, obviously, but I was not. Oh my God, it was terrible. Oh my God. Because he was like the only person she could trust. And then you find out she can't trust him. And it's so terrible. It's so terrible. And then he's like hugging her or something, and he says, I'm sorry. And she's like, what? And he injects her with something. He injects her. Oh my God. He makes her forget about all of that. So the next day she wakes up and she's like, wait, it's Saturday? I thought it was Friday. And she asks the nurse what the heck happened. And the nurse just tells her that she had a fever. And so she's like, okay, well, I don't remember anything from yesterday because I was asleep all day. And then Realm's talking to her like everything's fine. And she feels like everything's fine because he erased that part of her memory. He told her that she had a fever. He just went along with everything. And then she's like, she believed him because she felt like she had no right not to believe him. And technically she didn't, but she actually did. She did, and she had no idea. And that was so frustrating. It's so frustrating when you read a book and you know something the character doesn't. And I don't know if I've wanted to scream at a character so much when I read this book. It was ridiculous. Like, I've never wanted to yell at them more. Like, wake up! Wake up! It's right there in front of you. It's right there, and you don't know. Oh! So soon after that, it's Realm's time to leave, and he's leaving, and he's telling her not to change her hair, because everyone usually changes their hair when they get out of the program. Then he leaves, and then a week and a half later, she's leaving, and she cuts her hair, and she straightens it. It used to be long and curly, and now it's short and straight, and she barely looks like herself, because they give her a whole new wardrobe, like khaki skirts and button-ups with collars and crappy little ironed nice clothes. So eventually she gets out of the program, and her parents pick her up and she hugs the doctors and the nurses. Oh, goodbye, thanks for helping me. She feels like she's just totally cured and everything's hunky-dory and great and happy, but it's not. And her parents lie to her. She's like, how did Brady die? Because she doesn't remember how her brother died. And her mother says that he dies in an accidental rafting accident. I said accident twice. Anyways, she lies to her. She completely lies to her. And then when she goes to the new school, guess who she meets? Lacey. Her and Lacey become friends, completely not knowing that they used to be best friends. So then Lacey tells her to meet her at the wellness center, which is where all the returners go to meet other returners and other regular people, normal people. And she walks outside and she sees someone named Liam, and she doesn't know Liam, but Liam knows her because they used to date, but she has no idea. She has no idea, so she talks to him like a normal person. And then Liam's kind of being rude to her, and he calls her a freak, and someone comes to her rescue. They just come out of nowhere, and guess who it is? It's James. It's James. So I'm just going to skip through the end. Everything that happens is that she's just talking normally to Lacey, and Lacey is just always like, oh, you like James? And she's like, no, I don't. And Ben, she really feels like she doesn't because she's told to stay away from James. And she has a new handler. His name is Kevin, and he drives her around places because he knows Realm. And then her and James kind of become friends, and she feels like she knows him. And then all of a sudden one day she has this pain in her chest, and she has a headache, and then she gets the memory, the thing that she saved, the memory of the stuff stuck in her bed. So she takes it out, and she's like, why is James in a picture with my brother, and what is this ring? So she shows James the picture, and he has no idea what he knows her. And then she talks to Kevin, and she's like, Kevin, I need to talk to Realm. And so she gives him the address, and then she's like, James, we have to go there. And so her and James drive to Realm's new house, and he's so happy. She's so happy to see Realm because she thinks there's friends. And Realm's happy to see her, but when he sees James, he's like, hey, because he knows. She's like, this is James. And then he knows. Realm's the only one who knows that they loved each other so much for 2 years. And you know, Realm's awkward about it, and he's not telling her, but at the end of the thing, he does, at the end of their little, hangout, he tells her that James and Brady were best friends, and that Brady, killed himself, and she's, like, so upset, because she had no idea, and she feels like she's losing her brother all over again, because she didn't remember, and Realm doesn't tell her anything about her and James, and she doesn't know that he's not telling her, because then Realm kisses her and he says that he loves her, and she's like, yeah, I know, but she does not feel the same way, because she still feels that weird pain in her chest, like she misses someone, she doesn't know how. And then eventually she goes to Realm again while her and James are fighting, because he's very hot and cold, like one way or the other all the time, changing his opinion. So he talks to Realm, and then Realm finally tells her that her and James dated, and she's like, oh my gosh. And she never, the entire rest of the book, she never tells James the truth. And that was really annoying, because I wanted him to know. I really wanted him to know. Last things that were happening were that James and Sloane, they went to the river. He said, look at this place, I'm going to show you this place. And he shows her the river, and she's like, of course you guys are best friends. You both love the river. And then the exact same thing happens. The way they have their first kiss happens the exact same way it really happened. But they didn't know that. But it's like they're recreating their memories, and it's so amazing. I loved that part. I was freaking out. It was so amazing. And then after that, she gets a text from Realm that has to talk to her immediately. And I was freaking out because I thought that, holy crap, she's going to get flagged. And her mom is like calling her 4 times, and she's like, hey, Mom. And the mom's like, hey, are you coming home? And obviously she's not alone, and most likely called the program again. So her and James know that they can't stay there, and they have to leave, but they go see Realm, and Realm's sister is there, and Realm's sister is like, oh, here's some, I have to give you my car. Realm says you have to run away, and here's an orange pill. And the orange pill apparently brings back all your memories. But there's only one dose. There's only one that exists. And so she's trying to think, should she take it? Or are there things she'd rather keep in her head, not knowing? Or should she give it to James? Or what? And she's scared to know what will happen if she takes the pill. So she doesn't take it, but she keeps it, which is good. So she's told that Realm is hidden away, and then they have to drive to some place to join another group, and they were going to pick up Lacey and Kevin because Kevin was Realm's friend, and then apparently Lacey knew all this stuff, and she didn't even know Lacey knew it, but they're going to go pick them up. And the second book, I wonder, they're probably going to be like on the road or something, like driving around trying to get away from the program. I really hope everything goes good because there's only 2 books, and I've never read a duology, but oh my gosh, it's gonna be insane. I was so nervous that this was gonna end in a cliffhanger because it was so good, but it really felt like it could totally end in a cliffhanger, and it kind of did. The epilogue, holy crap, the epilogue. Okay, so we're following this girl named Allie, and she's just, you know, a random person we know nothing about, and then she sees someone across the way. It says that he has a pretzel in his mouth, and you know, we know that's Realm, but is it really Mittens? Sorry, this is my cat. This is my cat. Say hello. Okay, so anyways, we know that the guy with the pretzel is Realm, and then there's some girl named Allie, and we see Nurse Kell again, and we're like, okay, what is going on? So he calls her Sweetness, which is exactly what he always called Sloane, and I'm thinking, is everyone in on this? So he takes Allie, the new girl, to the table, and he's asking her to play cards with him, and then there's those 2 friends again. Their names are Shep and Derek, I think, and those are Realm's friends. And then she says, oh, they seem like they've done this 1,000,000 times. Because they freaking probably have done it 1,000,000 times. They're faking you out. They're not real patients. And then guess who walks by? Tabitha, saying the exact same thing. Why don't you let me play, Realm? And he's like, sorry, maybe another time, Tabby. And she's like, why? And he's like, because she took Twig Death and she doesn't really remember things, so she repeats things all the time. And oh my god. And then, as I thought this was all fake and he actually didn't like Sloane at all, he accidentally calls Allie Sloane. And the book ends with him telling her, can I walk you home, quote unquote. And he said the exact same things to Sloane, and I closed the book like, oh my gosh. Like, I was reading at my grandparents' house, and I didn't have anything else to read after that, but I was just, whoa. But that's all I've got to say, really. I mean, I've skipped around a lot, and there's a lot of things I didn't say, but you know what happened in here. If you're watching this, you most likely read this book, so you know the pain that went through this. Ugh. You see my pages, how they're weird? They were ripping out. Some of my pages were ripping out. It was like, what the heck? Who binded this together? Okay, so I forgot to tell you, but this is the next book I'm reading. It's called Party by Tom Levine. But like I said, I'm done. I will leave all my links and whatnot in the description like always. And thanks for watching, because this is a long video. Or it seems long.